Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today as we watch together the Splatoon 3 release date revealed trailer for Nintendo Switch. This just dropped on YouTube. It is April 22nd, 2022. This game is coming out this summer. I am stoked. I like Splatoon. I like Splatoon 2. And yeah, here we go. You know, Nintendo's been on a real roll this year. Kicking off with Pokemon Legends Arceus, getting Triangle Strategy on the platform, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch Sports coming out soon. That's a cool new way to enter the stage. We just got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 bumped up 2 months from September to July 29th. The game looks clean. I'm looking forward to all new Splatfests. I hope they go bigger and bolder than ever before with the Splatfests. You know? Like have more cross-promotion stuff. Are you Team Godzilla? Are you Team Kong? That would have been cool when the movie came out. Are you Team Jedi or Team Sith? That would have been cool when, you know, that movie came out. They did do stuff like Transformers, Autobots or Decepticons. They did do, you know, Pokemon. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Pokemon Red versus Pokemon Blue. Superstar, Mega Mushroom. Ninja Turtles. So they've done some cool Splatfest, but you know, keep it up, keep it going. Don't pit companies against each other like, you know, DC versus Marvel, no, but Team Captain America or, you know, Team Iron Man, Superman or Batman, stuff like that. Splatoon doesn't need it, it's very much its own thing, but for Splatfest, that'd be cool. Dang, these moves look awesome. I hope they increase the color palette even more. Hopefully they have a cool first player story mode. You know, my expectation for this, once they bumped up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 from September to July 29th, was that this would be a good fit for September 9th. That still fits into summer, and you know, it sounds like a good date. It's early September. It fits into that last bit, that's neat, of the quarter for the financial report. This is a game that will carry all throughout the rest of the year in terms of sales and beyond. If this comes out earlier in summer, it means that more time can be played for people to be off of school and work, but the September 9th release date is what I'm counting on. It's what I'm looking forward to. I like that a lot. Alright, when's it coming out? Team Purple? Team Yellow? Okay, Team Yellow. Available 9/9, September 9th. That's perfect. That's awesome. That is right on. Okay, incoming, available 9/9/22. I like 9/9. You know, looking at Fridays and stuff like that, which is usually when Nintendo drops. Trying to think, how do you pace this? How do you space, I should say, pace and space potentially. How do you space out your games? Because, you know, Nintendo and other developers, some more so than others, Nintendo including in one of them that did have this problem at times, output of games. You know, it takes longer to develop titles the further generations get more advanced and technology demands bigger budgets and etc. So you sometimes have gaps in software and you're reliant on third parties. And then if you're a third party, maybe your game and your franchise is taking longer to make for those same reasons, but you don't have to manage a whole ecosystem of a platform and deal with third parties and your own internal studios, etc. You just have to manage your own games that you're creating. So there's a little bit more pressure on the first party studios, in this case Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, and back in the day like Atari and Sega, for instance, to have a good output of your own games, not necessarily cannibalize the charts, because then what's the incentive in third parties to release titles on your platform when your first party games are coming out too frequently and eating up too much of the sales? And that's kind of a thing that we see still happen once in a while, but especially when Nintendo went into the Wii U generation, they took a long time to enter HD development. If you think about it, Microsoft and third parties making games for the Xbox 360 started working on HD development in like 2003 for a 2005 machine. PlayStation and its third parties, which are a lot of the same third parties that are shared with the Xbox brand and Wii brand for that matter, Nintendo's brand at the time, were making games early development in 2003, 2004 for PlayStation 3's debut in 2006. Nintendo did not have an HD console that generation. It wasn't until the 8th gen with Wii U where, okay, now they are making games for an HD console. A more powerful system than Xbox 360 and PS3, but still, Nintendo's first HD system didn't come out until 2012. So Nintendo's kind of dabbling into HD development and seeing how much assets, how much time and extra development schedule is necessary to create HD development. So here you have one of the pioneers in video gaming, one of the best video game developers, the most talented studios of all time, actually struggling to consistently release new software at the same output as they have in the past for Wii U, because essentially they're beginning this development in 2010, whereas the other companies began 7 years earlier. So you see the output on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One to be better from third parties, and in some cases from the first party studios, than Nintendo's. Nintendo still created some bangers during the Wii U era, but there were definitely gaps too. With Nintendo Switch, this is Nintendo's second HD console, so they are on top of it now. Now they've been creating HD games for 12 years, from like 2010 to 2022 basically. They have it down. This is the Nintendo that we are seeing at its best. Hardware and software departments are together. Home console and portable console markets are together. The experience that they've always had in the video game industry creating video games is joined in with their, now we have an understanding of HD development and the assets and extra time needed for that, and they have a successful platform in Nintendo Switch, which they are able to, okay, if we're going to have a little gap here or there, let's throw in a Wii U title port that didn't do that well here and make a Wii HD version of the game and put it in there. But also trying not to cannibalize the charts with only big Nintendo exclusives coming out, so that third parties do have incentive to come out on their platform. Indies do have incentive to release because they could have that assurance that their games are going to sell. That has been a problem in the past in some platforms' history, and in Nintendo's case as well, including that conversation, where Nintendo games are the ones that sell the most. They come out so frequently that the third parties that get released alongside it or close to it, like, people don't want this third party game as much as they want the Nintendo game, so they buy the Nintendo game and the third party doesn't sell as well. PlayStation and Xbox typically don't have as high of a turnout rate in their first party studios, so third parties know, there's a pretty good chance that my game will sell there. This isn't always the case, but it definitely is one. We're going to see it potentially with Live Alive coming out July 22nd and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being bumped up to July 29th. Fortunately, Live Alive comes out the week prior to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and not after, so it still may enjoy that week's worth of sales and get several 100,000 units in there ideally, and continue to sell afterwards, because even though it's an RPG, it's very different in style and presence, and it's a remake of a classic title from a Super Nintendo era that only came out in Japan, on the Super Famicom, whereas Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is now the third entry in a popular franchise that's only getting bigger and better. You could say potentially fourth if you count Xenoblade Chronicles X. And then if you want to count like, Torna and stuff like that, 3D version of Xenoblade Chronicles on the 3DS and Definitive Edition, then it's not necessarily the third, but it's the third in this series of Xenoblade Chronicles main entries, different enough of a game in look and scope and stuff like that that Live Alive should hopefully sell. But you can see that, if you're a developer that's releasing a friendly third-person kind of shooter that's kind of like Splatoon, you wouldn't want to release that thing anywhere in the month of September because it's going to get totally tossed to the side from the bigger Splatoon 3, right? Like I said, this doesn't happen all that often, but it is something that developers have to consider, and Nintendo and third parties, Sony and Microsoft and third parties respectively, all have to think about this. But I think September 9th is nice. As I mentioned earlier, if Splatoon 3 was coming out earlier in summer, this type of game with that summer vibe to it, not that it can't be played throughout the year, but it just got a summer vibe to it, Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 both came out like right before summer starts, and like, boom, we just are catering to that market of people in school of multiple different ages that have that time off to play and dive in 4-on-4 matches all throughout the summer. And, people who work that may have more time off in the summer as well, potentially. But September 9th still falls into summer. I don't think the game got delayed necessarily. We know that it was always scheduled for summer. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looked like, okay, development had wrapped. So instead of releasing it in September, it's done earlier. Let it come out in July. Let it have more months to breathe. Maybe there will be a different game comparable to it that's an action RPG that we don't know about yet that's coming out in the fall, and they don't want to release Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and that game too close to each other, right? Maybe even though Bayonetta 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 are different enough, they don't want these two sword hack and slash games to the mass market that looks like this without dissecting it to come out September and October. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Bayonetta 3, and kind of eat into each other's sales potentially. So release Xenoblade a couple months early. Who knows? It is possible that Splatoon 3 was scheduled for an August month. Maybe they were going to be like, all right, Splatoon 3, we said summer, it's going to be ready something like August 19th, August 26th, and it could have released any time then, but we'll give Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a little bit more breathing room and put Splatoon 3 there. Hard to say. Is it likely that both games were always under the intention of Nintendo's to release in September? That doesn't seem the most likely, but it's possible, right? Maybe Nintendo from the very beginning said, okay, we want Splatoon 3 in our heads to be a September 9th game, and we want Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to also be in September like we announced it, but come out on September 30th, which would actually be 3 weeks removed and be the last day of the fiscal year, or the fiscal quarter, I should say, September 30th, that is. So it is possible that they always had the intention of releasing both in September, so Splatoon 3 never really got the delay. We don't know, right? And we might not never know the exact details. But this is the date that I called. I think it's perfect. It's a nice date. I think of 9/9, and I always think of Sega Dreamcast, 9/9/99, one of the most recognizable, infamous release dates for a console to come out. And on that note, there is one other little thing today, and that is Nintendo just announced the following on Twitter. Ahoy, Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members! You can now enjoy the Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion DLC as part of your membership at no additional cost. Not a member? Join today. This service is increasingly getting more and more valuable. I think it's fantastic. You're already getting, out of the expansion pack, everything that you have in the base Nintendo Switch Online. cloud save data, the ability to play online, free weekly trials scattered throughout the year, some discounts here and there on controllers and so forth, like actual tangible controllers, and access to well over 100 Nintendo and Super Nintendo games plus Tetris 99 and Pac-Man 99. All for $5 a month if you're splitting it with friends. That's a really good deal. Or $20 a year if you're not. Sorry, not $4 a month. $4 a year. Yeah, $4.68, something like that. Less than $5 a year if you're splitting it with friends. For all that, that's tremendous value. Or $20 if you're going in solo. That's still a good value for all that. Or expansion pack, $50 a year if you're going solo for those things, plus over a dozen Nintendo 64 games and counting, over a dozen Sega Genesis games and counting. Over the course of the next year and a half, 48 more Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks that you get access to. A big content expansion in Animal Crossing that was new when it came out that you got to enjoy. Splatoon 2's Octopath expansion that, Octo expansion that, if you didn't already download it, this is new to you. It's the oldest DLC being added, but to some people it's still going to be new. And it's coming out now, which is still a few months before Splatoon 3. We've got 5 months to go. So this may increase Splatoon 2's value because people who didn't buy the game and are already expansion pack members could be like, well, I already am an expansion pack owner. I don't have Splatoon 2 yet. I'll get that game because now, instead of paying $60 for a game, I'm paying $60 and getting to play the Octo expansion. That's pretty cool, right? Or people who have had Splatoon 2 for this whole time, who have maybe fallen out of the game, don't play it as often, never bought an Octo expansion, now see that Splatoon 3 is coming out. Oh, I want to get back into the game. Well, one incentive is 5 months from now, Splatoon 3 coming out, Octo expansion now. This is a good reason to get back into the franchise and to establish that, connection. So this service is awesome. I was always a fan of the pricing model personally because $50 a year isn't all that bad when you consider how much you're getting with the cloud save data, online, just the sheer amount of games that you're getting to play, etc. And the fact that, if you realistically just split it with a few friends, if you have 7 friends to share it with, $80 divided by 8, $10 per year per person for all that is fantastic. It's a phenomenal value, It's less than $1 a month at that point. It's almost nothing. And money could be subjective, for some people, less than $1 a month is a lot. But realistically, for most people, especially if you're into video gaming and you are buying these things, most people probably wouldn't objectively say that $10 is a lot per year, right? It is subjective at the end of the day, but relative to what other things cost, there is an objective truth to the fact that $10 per year is a lot less than a lot of the other things that you end up buying in video games, single character costumes being $5, a stage in a fighting game being $7, games themselves being $60 a pop, so $10 a year to experience all that, Tetris 99, Pac-Man 99, all that. It is factually less. It's just the perceived value, I suppose. But even if you don't have 7 buddies, if you've got 3 people, 4 people, you're still dividing it, between that amount of people, $80, so you're making it less than the $35 even for the regular expansion. If you're splitting that family membership plan, you're making that $80 less than the $50 if you just have a couple of people involved for the expansion pack plan going solo. So yeah, cool stuff. Some of that was a little bit jumbled. Sorry. I was still excited. I'm still hyped about that September 9th thing being the actual release date. Good call. All right, this is PGN signing out. I had a fun time looking at this. It ended up being kind of a video game news day video in addition to a reaction video. So I might put this up as both reaction and video game news. So thanks for joining me. Have a good one. See y'all next time. Take it easy. Bye.